a challenge perspective, one of the biggest challenges facing health, safety, wellbeing industry is that systemically we've plateaued out. So there's a lot of really good effort, a lot of hard work. People are trying to upskill. Everyone's working really hard to try and improve outcomes for workers, but it's not working. And we're seeing that harm reduction plateau off. So there's more and more effort going in, but sort of less and less impact coming out.
So some of the insights from the report can motivate us to focus our efforts on improving critical elements that will subsequently be felt across the remainder of the safety culture maturity scale. So for example, many sectors' director and management knowledge and risk management expertise was seen as holding safety culture maturity back. And there's a really sustainable opportunity to address this through improving inductions. That also ranked lowest in the directors module across most sectors. And a quality induction into an organisation not only sets the tone for new leaders and provides a solid foundation for their performance, but it also helps them with their knowledge, understanding, and their capacity to empower health and safety culture improvement initiatives over time.
I think there's a really interesting part of the report that shows that bigger organisations aren't necessarily better. They don't invest more. Maturity just sits really equal across the piece in terms of size of organisation. So what that says to me is, as an organisation grows and grows and grows, we're not necessarily investing a hell of a lot more, but yet we've got bigger responsibilities, we've got more to look after, more people to look after. Big organisations tend to have bigger forward-facing impact as well, members of the public, customers, third parties. So I think that for me feels like a really good challenge, but how do we really ensure as we grow, we continue to invest and we take the business on a journey? Another key challenge for me, there was something really interesting in the report, a fantastic part where we talk about emergency preparedness is core as a real problem statement for me. And we show the ideas, the policy making, the plan making, pretty good. We're right here. Stress testing this, especially when the world is in the state that it's in, it seems to fall off. So it's again that compliance driven, I've got my paper, and then the proactive, how do I get out, how do I test, how do I actively learn with my organisation? That's really tricky, but it's also really tricky to get the investment of time when organisations are so strapped for time. So I think that's a really, really big challenge that we're going to have to overcome. How do we take the process on paper to a reality, especially when we're talking about emergency preparedness and making sure that we can look after our people when the chips are really down and something's gone critically wrong?
And fundamentally, it's about really moving from the traditional management system and compliance paradigm where, I think there's a long-held assumption that if a business does their legal, executes their legal obligations or discharges their legal obligations, meets their compliance requirements from a health and safety regulatory perspective, therefore that should equal the presence of safety in their organisation. And that's just simply not the reality. Harm's still occurring, even though organisations may well be kind of compliant from a regulatory perspective. I think the biggest challenge is for the industry to think about how does it move itself from being regulatory compliance focused, accepting that needs to be there, but actually to achieve harm reduction, we need to aim higher and start to think about health, safety, wellbeing from a perspective of what does good look like, how developed or mature is our organisation against what good looks like. And thinking about what good looks like, it's reflecting that compliance sits along the journey towards that, but is not the destination. And I think there are some great examples of businesses, and some of them are our clients, who have recognised that shift and have gone after that shift and have realised some truly exceptional outcomes as a result, both socially in terms of really material levels of harm reduction, but also commercially in terms of being able to demonstrate to their insurers that they're proactively managing risk much better than they had done previously. And as a result of the harm reduction generated, that means a much better performing loss ratio in their organisation, and that results in better commercial terms around their insurance. And there's a whole bunch of other challenges that businesses have out there that sit outside health and safety, things like being able to attract and retain the best talent to support their business. And what we know is that if we can optimize harm reduction and harm less people at work, those other business performance attributes improve drastically. So there's sort of a piece here around actually, taking this approach is fundamentally good for business. Safety is not a cost to a business. It's a value creating attribute, and I think that shift needs to happen.
So with many organisations experiencing systemic maturity culture, it indicates that there hasn't been a great appreciation for the true cost of harm in the workplace to drive improvements beyond compliance, and with that a real appreciation for the value of proactive or embedded safety cultures. The externalities that come with proactive safety cultures in terms of financial benefits, from reduced premiums and increasing productivity, to social and wellbeing benefits for staff, to sustainability in terms of staff retention and reduced churn. We have a challenge to communicate all of that effectively, and then as leaders gain a greater appreciation and understanding for the true cost of resting on compliance. And I think that will bear greater empowerment to the profession to deliver tangible outcomes and reveal that hidden value of going beyond compliance.
So when thinking about the biggest challenges that face the profession, the things that this report calls out, I've already mentioned the emergency planning versus emergency stress testing. And there is something in here that really bothers me. And it's probably from working in the rail industry for so long, working in the nuclear industry and being drilled in such a disciplined way. But it's not like we do not see critical disasters happen on the news. We know train crashes happen. We know we have really critical incidents that happen all over the country, all over the world, all the time. So there's something in here about safety as a care profession, and having a plan is not taking care of people. Having a plan is being compliant to a policy. Stress testing that plan is how we take care of people. It's how we know that we show up in the best way. And in those critical circumstances, showing up in the best way also limits trauma, reduces the PTSD impact, those sorts of things, and helps families and friends of people that are hurt. So there's something in here about this. There's got to be a push. I feel really passionate about this one particular element in the report. I'm just like, please, let's move forward. We keep saying we want to be proactive and not compliance driven. If you have a policy that you've not tested, that's a great place to start.
So, look, it may be that many of us in the health and safety sector are coming from a public health approach where we're ingrained into a lot of deficit approaches. We're focused on losses and lag indicators to inform priorities and interventions. This is really reflected in the report with health and safety recognition, where we recognise positive health and safety behaviours being the lowest performing element in the culture and behaviours module. There's clearly more opportunity here to leverage more spaced approaches, increasing our focus on lead indicators such as safety culture indices, but celebrating wins and rewarding positive practices, not only focusing on the negative.